The worst punishments still used today. I remember watching a video about a punishment. I don't think people still do it. Maybe they do in some insane places around the world, but it's a metal bull, like the animal. A human is put inside it, and there's fire lit below the bull. So basically, the human is being like literally cooked, baked alive. Am I gonna get in trouble with YouTube because this is how I'm starting the fucking video? Let's hear this out.
Let's start with the bad and slowly work our way towards the stuff of nightmares. Number 8, the wooden cane. Many countries today still punish criminals by tying them up and whipping them. But just to make matters worse, it's often done in front of their peers and loved ones. In countries like Singapore, criminals convicted of violent crimes or vandalism can still be sentenced to judicial caning.
Okay, I was not expecting these types of things from what you would call very first world countries like Singapore. I was not.
Here, the criminal's bent over and has their ankles and wrists tightly strapped to a large wooden trestle. Before the criminal becomes a piñata, the cane is first soaked in water for a few hours, making it a lot more flexible and primed for whipping. The man who carries out the punishment is a highly trained officer, trained to deliver each strike with maximum force and precision. After each strike, there's a long pause.
Highly trained? I mean, I've never done that, but Oh, he is loving it. But I've never done that, but I'm pretty sure I can, put the guy in miserable pain.
Criminal feels every bit of pain that is humanly possible before the next powerful strike is delivered. The severity of the crime dictates how many strikes the criminal receives, but it can be as many as 24. Criminals are typically left bleeding with deep wounds and permanent scarring, leaving them with a lifelong reminder of the...
This is not that evil. Yeah, I would support this for a lot of, I mean, I want to, like, criminals like terrorists, pedophiles, and so on, right? And other evil types of people. I would put them in just free labor camps for the rest of their life. Just coal in some mines. Just mine in some coal mines or whatever. That's what I wanted to say. And be behind bars forever. That's it.
Hellish punishment they once received. Number 7, the White Room. There's a room so terrifying that it strikes fear into even the most hardened criminals. It's simply known as the White Room. Inside Evin prison in Iran, there's a small...
this is where I would expect these kinds of things.
A white isolation cell where the bright overhead lights never turn off, and all outside noise and human contact cease to exist. This punishment begins with the criminal being dressed in all white before being thrown into a completely soundproof all-white cell. The bed, walls, floors, and even the plate and food they receive are all white. But it gets even worse.
Like, you're giving me a hamburger and fries with food dye coloring, whatever it's called, and it's all white, right?
The guards outside the cell wear cushioned shoes to silence their steps, ensuring the prisoner never hears a single sound from the outside world. You see, the color white wasn't chosen at random. White eliminates contrast, depth, and visual reference points.
People that hate white people are having a field trip with this right now.
And since the brain doesn't get any stimulation from the outside world, it begins to create its own, tormenting the prisoner by spawning in vivid hallucination and noises that are not really there. And because the lights never turn off,
so he's basically becoming a schizo.
Prisoners lose their sense of time, not knowing whether it's been days, weeks, or even months that have gone by. There have been reports of prisoners remaining in this cell for up to 8 months, with some...
How do you survive up to that fucking... that many days? I delete myself.
Claiming that even after leaving, they have never been the same since.
Yeah, no shit.
6, amputation. Amputations are still used in countries like Iran, Yemen, Nigeria, and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I know about this one.
And are typically reserved for thieves. For example, in Saudi Arabia, thieves can still be punished by amputation of the hand, while armed robbers receive a little extra, having their hand and the opposite foot amputated.
What about terrorists and pedophiles and, I don't know, religious extremists?
Now, before you get the wrong idea, these countries do sometimes take it easy on criminals and just amputate the fingers instead.
Oh yeah, that's that's much better, yeah.
In 2025 alone, at least 3 thieves had the fingers on their right hands.
Hey mom, I stole some candy, but thankfully I won't lose my hand. I'll just lose my, my fingers. It's fine, I'll be able to scoop stuff with it at least. I shouldn't be making fun of this.
The punishment
they're all
uses a guillotine-style machine, just a lot smaller. Here, prisoners are blindfolded, handcuffed, and restrained. The hand is tied in place with the fingers pointing out. As soon as the sign is given, the lever is released.
Oh yeah, they're using a pride flag in these countries, yep.
And the blade
That's how
slams
they give
down
the
on
sign.
the person's hand, easily removing the criminal's fingers. They are then quickly stitched up if they're lucky, and sent back to their prison cells to walk it off.
I mean, you've got a chance of dying of some kind of an infection, man. If they don't get, then they don't get that shit fixed up real fast.
Number 5. Castration. In countries like South Korea, Poland, and Indonesia, anyone who's convicted of being inappropriate with children can be sentenced to chemical castration. This punishment typically begins after the criminal has served their
chemical
sentence,
castration.
and right before they are set to be released from prison, where they will receive the first of many injections to drastically lower their testosterone and libido. The more severe the crime, the longer the castration period.
Oh god, that's gonna ruin your fucking health.
Now, being injected so often does carry some side effects.
Yeah.
But realistically, nobody cares. But in countries
Yeah.
like the Czech Republic, castration
The
is
Czech Republic? Hey, I didn't know us Slavic people. I'm Slavic if anybody didn't know, but I didn't know us Slavic people were still brutal like this. I mean, we're known for a lot of stuff, being brutally honest, but not like this.
taken even further. High-risk criminals who continue committing heinous crimes can be permanently castrated. From 2000 to 2016, over 84 surgical castrations were carried out. But in recent years, the numbers have plummeted. After heavy international pressure, the law was changed. Today, they still perform permanent castrations, but are now only given to criminals who volunteer.
Well, what? Who volunteer? What criminal would volunteer for any punishment? Bro, just send them. Depends on what the criminal act is, If he stole, money from somebody. Depends on how much money it is. It might be $1,000. Yeah, just put him in jail, I guess. Whatever, right? If he did something insane, just put him in a coal mine for the rest of his life.
Number 4, an eye for an eye.
Just free labor.
In Iran, the victim or their family can request an equivalent punishment for their attacker. This means they can request a life for a life, an injury for an injury, or in this case, an eye for an eye. The act of blinding someone as a form of punishment has been carried out a few times in recent years, with the most recent 3 cases occurring in 2022. Surprisingly, many of the cases were very similar. A person, for one reason or another, decided to throw acid on someone, causing the innocent person
I was about to ask. They're doing this when the guy is out cold. They use painkiller something like. Nope. You're wide awake. F yourself.
lose their eyesight. The victim or their family can then legally request the same punishment for the attacker. It all begins with the person.
And you know
being
what the sad part is? In all of these other less developed countries, a lot of the times, all of these, criminals aren't really criminals by modern Western standards. They're just normal people doing normal things, and they're just breaking some dumb things and laws that are, these evil governments that, you cannot criticize the government. You can't be this, you can't be that. And then you end up like this. Meanwhile, you're just using something that all of the West should have. Freedom of speech,
restrained and having their eye or eyes held open. Acid is then dropped into the eyes, permanently blinding them. The drops
Held
are administered
open.
by authorities, but the
God
victim
damn.
can request to do it themselves.
God
As
damn.
long as they can still see. The injury is then verified by authorities, and the attacker is sent back to prison to serve the
Hey, doctor, can you make sure this guy's eye is permanently damaged? Oh, it's not. And the doctor's still lying because he's a psychopath. He just wants to see the guy suffer more.
remainder of their sentence. Number
That's
3,
probably happened.
pushed off a cliff.
Probably has
this
been
is one of
personal.
the most disturbing and strangest punishments in the world. In Iran, criminals can still be sentenced to be thrown from
Yeah,
a
they're thrown in a mine where dinosaurs exist.
height. Now, as
They're
bad as
it's a hole where there's some kind of magic. Some kind of a magic hole where you're sent 65 million years in the past.
that sounds, it only gets worse. Here, the criminal is taken to the top of a cliff, then placed inside a sack. The sack is tightly sealed, and both the sack and the criminal are thrown off the
damn,
cliff.
man.
But here's the
Come on.
twist. In the extremely unlikely event that the man survives the fall, he would then be freed from the sack, only to be hanged instead. A few men in recent years have been sentenced to receive this punishment.
I'm
One
trying
man
not
in
to laugh.
2002
I'm trying not to, feel bad for the people because a lot of these people are actual criminals and probably did horrible things. But at the same time, I'm a human, you know? Yeah, you know what I mean, right?
to
The way he said it and the way he like paused and then said the hanging was kind of funny. But it's still cruel and insane. Well, hanging isn't that cruel. It isn't as cruel as fucking being thrown off a mountain.
in 2008. The punishment is incredibly rare and is only given to those who commit truly heinous crimes. Even though these three men were sentenced by a judge to be thrown off a cliff, I can't 100% confirm they were actually thrown, since Iran ranks amongst the most heavily censored countries in the world, and this information
Yeah.
is not easy to come
And
by.
just because of that censorship, you could just imagine how many of these kinds of people who were punished for crimes weren't actually real crimes. The government is just being an insensitive little bitch.
Either way, the punishment is
I can
incredibly
say this because
terrifying
I
and
live
not one
in
you
a
would ever
Western
want to
country.
receive.
It's more of a second world country.
Number 2, capital punishment. Now, I could bore you and walk you through all the standard capital punishments that are used around the world, like lethal injection, firing squads, the electric chair, and hangings. But instead, I'm going to cover some of the most strange and terrifying variations of these executions that are still used in parts of the world. In Saudi Arabia, criminals who commit murder or drug-related crimes can still be sentenced to be beheaded with a sword. Here, the criminal is kneeling on the floor with their arms tied behind their back. Their head is then leaned forward as the person trembles and waits for the executioner to strike. As soon as the signal is given, the executioner swings with all their might and hopefully removes the head on the first go. Of course, this is all done in front of a crowd, ensuring they get
Yep.
punished with severe PTSD as well. Then there's China, where execution
Wait, the crowd is also criminals around them, right? Who have done crimes but not as bad, and this should be done in prison.
vans deliver lethal injections.
At least that's, how I would do it. I mean, I wouldn't do that stuff. I would, just jail or labor camps. That's all I would do. That, like, trust me, that's a bigger punishment than death.
Directly to a
In my
person's
opinion.
front door. On arrival, criminals are apprehended and placed inside the
good
van.
machine.
They are then quickly strapped down and given a lethal cocktail injection. It's estimated that around 8,000 people have been executed in one of these vans, but the real number remains a mystery since the program is covered in secrecy. Then there's hanging executions. Some countries still use the more humane method, the long drop, which instantly breaks the neck and causes unconsciousness. This method obviously requires a math formula to get right. Too short of a fall, the neck remains intact, and the person hangs there and slowly chokes. Too long of a fall, and it becomes a beheading, and a very messy and annoying cleanup. But in countries like Iran, the math problem is simply tossed in the trash, and instead they use a
Yeah, also
method
the cleanup is tossed in the trash. They don't care.
called the short drop, which is a lot more cruel and vicious. But hey, at least no one could ever say they're bad at math. Here, the criminal is rigged to a crane with their arms tied behind their back and is then slowly lifted a few inches off the floor.
God
As the criminal
damn.
panics and kicks, the rope tightens. And
God
eventually, within
damn.
minutes, the person passes out and stops moving.
Hey yo,
Number-
did he have a caution, please, before you watch? There's like insane shit here in this video. Maybe I should have mentioned that before I started recording this video.
Number 1, stoned to death. Easily the harshest and most cruel
Yeah.
punishment in the world has to be stoning. This
I know
punishment has
about- yeah,
occurred
we
in
know about
Nigeria,
that. Mm-hmm.
Somalia, and Iran in recent years, with Iran being the only country where stoning still exists in law as a punishment for adultery. The most recent
Iran is in so many of these fucking... I feel bad for Iranian people, man. I feel bad for Persian people, man. It's so sad. Fuck that government, and they are fucking insane. They are living like 500 years in the past.
uses of this punishment
The government rules, I mean.
actually came from angry mobs in Nigeria in 2020 and 2022, and before that, a militia group in Somalia in 2014 and 2018. I'll quickly cover these before I move on to Iran. In both cases in Somalia, a judge within the area's militia group sentenced the women to be stoned to death for adultery. The women were buried up to their shoulders, with only their heads exposed, and then stoned to death by the militia group. All
I
of
don't
this
even
was
wanna
done
think
in
about
front of
this.
the townspeople. The Nigeria incidents were very similar to one another as well. In 2020, a man accused of blasphemy was chased and stoned to death at a fish and vegetable market. But wait, it gets even darker. It's reported that even the local children picked up stones and took part in the execution.
Yeah, what do you expect? Those children are being brainwashed by idiotic, mentally ill people that are raising them. even if they are being raised by good people, you know, the environment also raises your kids. What they consume also teaches your kids how to act and how to feel and everything, right? And obviously, if they see something happening around them, more often they'll see it as normal. If I did this, if I threw one small tiny pebble at somebody, I'd be grounded and beaten the shit up by my parents.
Execution. Then
And my parents would, I mean, it's a pebble. But if it was this big, my parents would go to jail because of me if I did this as a kid.
a few years later, in 2022, a woman was attacked by a mob and stoned to death at a college
Just primitive governments.
for the same reason. But let's talk about Iran, since they officially have stoning as a form of punishment. From 1980 to 2009, there were roughly 150 people, mostly women, convicted of adultery who were condemned to stoning. With the latest sentence
I wouldn't stone women because of adult. Just jail, just behind bars or free labor. Come on, man. No, please. Why are we doing this?
taking place in
Why?
2017 and 2022. The punishment begins with the woman being buried up to her chest, or the waist if it's a man. Officials then gather around the person with stones in hand, and as soon as the signal is
Why?
given,
Never mind.
they begin to throw them. But here's the catch. If the person manages to escape from the hole, and only if they had confessed to adultery, they could earn their freedom. In the second scenario,
Wait, what about the women?
they begin to throw them. But here's the catch. If the person manages to escape from the hole, and only if they had confessed to adultery, they could earn their freedom.
So the man and the woman can both confess to adultery. Okay. And if they escape and they confess, they will be freed. But the man is buried up to his waist and the woman is buried up to her neck. Yeah, all the feminists that are pro these kinds of governments, yeah.
freedom. In the second scenario, if the person manages to escape but were caught committing adultery, they are placed back in the hole for round 2. As someone who's extremely competitive,
I mean, at that point, you fucking deserve it, you know?
yeah, I'm beginning to think this might be a little unfair for the women.
It didn't really mention if they do some evil shit to, you know, children. They probably, sadly, do. Let's be honest. But hopefully not. I hope that's not real. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Me personally, maybe I'm a brainwashed, Americanized, Europeanized dumbass. But if somebody has done something evil, yeah, I understand the death penalty. Yeah, I totally get it. And I think some people do deserve it. Again, electric chair, boom, done. That's it. Don't have to make them struggle. If you want to make them struggle, labor camp. Send them to some mine. Let them work. Work at a mine, 16 hours a day, behind bars, 8 hours, so you can sleep and eat. That's it. And they can make money for the government. Why? You know, if they're just in jail, you're losing money off of them because they're living off of the taxes. Because who's funding the jails and the prisons? The people, the taxes. So at least they'll be useful for the government, or just if it's a small crime, then yeah, don't do such evil things to them. Just put them behind bars for a few years or months. But that's as far as I would go. Tell me what you guys think, and be thankful if you're not in these kinds of countries, and if you are, be careful, man. I'm on your side. Have a nice day.